Hi everyone, welcome to BATCHEET. Today we will be interviewing Abhishek Thakkar about his experience as a two-time IAS Summer Research Fellow. Abhishek is from NIT Warangal's 2013 to 17 BTech Biotechnology batch. He is currently working as a research technologist at the Feinberg School of Medicine, Northwestern University, Illinois. He has a master's in biomedical engineering from IIT Delhi and has also worked as a research assistant at the Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, New York. In the summer of his second year, he interned at Anna University, Chennai, and after his third year at the Institute of Liver and Biliary Sciences, New Delhi, both as an IAS Summer Research Fellow. So, hi Abhishek, so excited to have you with us today.
Hi. Hello.
All right. So let's begin with our first question. What exactly is the IAS Summer Research Fellowship Program and who should apply for it?
Uh, well, I like to call it uh, the one of the best Indian summer research fellowships if you wanted to apply for it, and uh, so uh, it is a funded fellowship, and it comes with an add-on good thing that you also get an allotted PI or a mentor for the duration of 2 months, and basic stipend to support your the 2 months summer research program. And yeah, if you want to give a kickstart to your career in research, like at the let's say at the end of second year of your undergraduate program, this is the best place to go, best thing to do, one of the best things to do. Yeah.
Sounds good,
And
sounds.
yeah, it would be a stepping stone for a lot more things in the future. Yeah.
All right. So tell us your secret to bagging two of these fellowships. I know people have a hard time getting even one. So what do you think made you different from all the other applicants?
uh, uh yeah, even I looked at my applications, like what I wrote back in the day, and I would say just uh apply in a way that shows that your passion, like you're passionate about it. uh like your application should reflect uh that you are enthusiastic to find some answers, or to, let's say, uh, to do something for the betterment of humanity. If you want to do, let's say, some sort of a translational work, or you are curious to find some answers in case you are interested in, like, let's say, basic science research. So yeah, your application should reflect your passion for science. And yeah, that's it. I have never had, so my undergraduate total GPA after 4 years was 8.1, I think. So I've never had a really awesome CGPA for that, if we consider that factor. But yeah, I've always made sure that I reflect my passion in my application.
Yeah, that's some really good advice. So could you walk us through the application process and tell us, like you just told us about the GPA. Other
Yes.
than that, how important are things like past research experience and having undergraduate publications and about the letters of recommendation?
So the summer research fellowship by IAS INSA, mainly, it's a very basic fellowship. They don't I don't feel that they expect you to have publications and a lot of research experience. Uh, yeah, so I would say, of all the application materials, uh, the most that matters is your SOP. I'll, in my personal opinion, I'll give that like a 50% weightage, and uh, 30% weightage to the letter of recommendation, and rest for the application, like a CV and your details. Yeah, maybe CGPA, and if you have some previous experience, some previous training as well. I
All
had
right.
I had one training after my first year of undergraduate studies. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was what it
Okay.
was. But yeah,
So
make a good SOP. Yeah, I'll definitely say that. Your SOP is that's the thing. Yeah, that's the
but
tiebreaker.
how does one make a good SOP? What makes an SOP strong? What should one write in it?
So after seeing both of my SOPs, I okay, let me start with their what they asked for. They asked for something between 150 to 300 words, I think, for the SOP.
Mm-hmm.
And after seeing both my SOPs, I'll say try to be creative. Uh, by creative or by showing your passion, I mean, Uh, so in both my SOPs, they are not the usual, let's say, SOPs that we write for masters or some other, let's say, prestigious other for internships abroad. I
Mm-hmm.
have started with a line or two about what I'm interested in, the sub branch of biotechnology. Let's say I'll start with I'm interested in immunology or immunological aspect of some infection, and I have in both of my applications I have moved forward to you know what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've spent a lot of uh, content of my writing part of my SOP in what I want to study. In both of my applications, I sort of proposed a project
Mm-hmm.
in my 2015 application uh, application for the 2015 summer research fellowship. I proposed genetic screening, a sort of genetic screening and validation of some genes to find out which genes would be important. uh, though it was very basic thing, if we look at it now, will I find it to be very basic, but yeah, I tried to be as much. And then I would and for 2016 I proposed to develop a cell-based therapy for ischemia. So yeah, so I've always tried to come up with new ideas and propose a sort of project. It could also be a good exercise for coming, let's say, if you want to apply for MyTex or Corana after your third year. So it
Mm-hmm.
could be a good exercise for that as well, and for your future research, let's say for your PhD applications. Yeah. And yeah, I also managed to write a little bit about how I want to do what I proposed. So
Okay.
yeah, read a lot and try to you know propose a small project in your SOP
Mm-hmm.
and finish your SOP with two or three strong lines on how much it matters to you, and how much it would help you in your future.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how my SOPs were.
So, did you get to work on the project you proposed, or was the supervisor who was assigned to you working in a more general area of what you proposed?
No, actually, in both my applications, I didn't get to work on the project I proposed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I got selected. I joined the lab, and then I got a project from the lab's
All right.
current work of expertise. Yeah, for 2015, uh, I was just sort of allotted a project, and for
Mm-hmm.
2016, after I got selected in Institute of Liver and Biliary Sciences. My mentor for that summer, she asked me to write a concept note on what I want to do there. So yeah, I then wrote a one-page thing, just like an SOP for the institute itself, and then
Uh-huh.
she read that and she found out a graduate student there who could whose work was similar to what I proposed, and then
Okay.
yeah, he mentored me
Oh, all
during
right.
that summer. Yeah,
So, could you tell us more about your experience and the work you did at these labs that you got selected in?
yeah. So in the summer of 2015 at Anna University, I worked in angiogenesis lab, and my project was basically there is a drug called thalidomide.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yeah,
case
the
study.
drug trial gone wrong.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes. Most biotech students know, and it's a case study actually. So it was used for it was prescribed for sleeping sickness to pregnant
yeah.
women,
Mm-hmm.
and then years later it was found that it caused uh, teratogenic
Yeah,
effects in the
yeah,
newborns.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, my lab was working on its some of its derivatives, and they were trying to develop drugs that thalidomide like drugs that didn't have the teratogenic effects of
Mm-hmm.
thalidomide, and we used chick embryo as a model. So my project was basically getting the freshly hatched eggs, and first I started with studying normal chick embryo development. They have different stages, and to see an abnormality, you have to know first what's normal, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, study the development of embryo, how it goes through all the stages, and then then begin the treatment part where we injected uh, freshly hatched eggs with different, let's say, thalidomide and its different derivatives that we were studying,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and then the defects on heart, defects on limbs, the teratogenic deformities, and yeah, and I also worked on some of the binding studies of the drug with its
Mm-hmm.
target, and got I got exposure, I got hands-on experience on some very useful techniques during that phase, like ELISA or
Right.
yeah, immunoprecipitation, let's say. And followed by that, uh, they also did RNA sequencing for my project, for the same project, but I didn't get the time to do the sequencing itself, but I did analyze a little bit of data. Yeah, that's where I ended studying my studying the defects of uh, thalidomide treatment, and how those defects were not there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say for the derivative drugs.
And
And
your third
for
year intern?
yeah, for my third year internship, I was studying hepatitis B viral infection, and it was basically an immunology project in the field of immunology.
Mm-hmm.
So when I joined the lab, I had basically I had to brush up the basic, immunology at first, because there's something called T cell exhaustion that happens during some infections, and yeah, so that initial part was a lot of reading, and then reading about other liver infections like hepatitis C or other liver ailments, and then studying the immune response in them, and then proposing my own project. So st- I started working on T cell exhaustion there, and yeah, that was the first time I did a sort of independent project of my own, and I found out an important gene that basically caused the degradation of uh, newly formed, say, thymidines, and that prevented the proliferation of T cells during the viral infection, hepatitis B viral infection. Yeah, gave me a lot of That was the one of the best experiences till now.
That
Yeah,
sounds like a lot of good work.
yeah. I learned a lot of techniques also in that during that
Hmm.
time, and yeah, cell culture, flow cytometry, qPCR, all different types of PCRs, then protein work, a little bit of Western blotting, and yeah, and a lot.
All right, wow. I am just so happy listening about all of this. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about how you travel to these places, the accommodation and the stipend they give?
So, okay, traveling, I travel by train to both these places, and yeah, you are uh, on top of your stipend, you are reimbursed if you take a train to
All right, okay.
these places. Yeah, that's one more thing. And accommodation. So during the summer of 2015, uh, there was no such arrangement in the Anna University in Chennai for
Okay.
summer research fellows. So I stayed outside the campus, paid
Mm-hmm.
on rent, and for 20 summer of 2016, ILBS had very good uh, accommodation for. I was given a room in the PhD uh, housing. So I actually shared my room with my mentor,
Oh,
the
wow.
graduate student who was there. So yeah, for a short duration, and when your whole focus is, you want to learn something, that's a good
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, and it was a good, yeah, good hostel actually. Yeah.
all right, that's great. So, what was your most precious takeaway from these experiences?
My most precious takeaway was I learned how to think independently. Uh, I, I, at first, my first focus was to learn different techniques.
Mm-hmm.
Before I could even start applying, my mindset was learn some stuff first, and then you can think independently, and you can think about applying those different experiments or different techniques into your
Mm-hmm.
work.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so both of them gave me an exposure, a hands-on experience on a lot of techniques. And yeah, by the end of 2016, I could myself think independently a little bit, design small experiments to test and validate stuff. Yeah, it was I'll say my most precious takeaway was it made me a, you know, somewhat of a independent researcher.
That's perfect. That what else can somebody want?
Yeah.
So, what tips and tricks would you like to give other aspiring researchers and undergraduate students?
um. So one, constant reading. Two, I'll say always be ambitious and always be passionate. That's the thing everyone advises, and always also be ambitious. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't think if you are applying somewhere. So I'm not talking about this INSA fellowship right now. I'm talking about in general. Whenever you apply, if it's a competitive place to go get into, don't think based on your profile that and give up that I cannot do it. Just prove that it cannot happen. Just apply and see what happens, Be ambitious.
That's right. That's
Because
some really good
yeah,
advice.
yeah, if you're passionate, this whole field of research is for you, and there are always chances of you getting selected.
That's so good to hear. I mean, I can. relate to those words as somebody who's applying to so many places and looking for internships right now. That
Yeah.
little bit of constant drive that, yeah, it can happen, just don't stop applying is so important.
Yes, and always be productive. Don't give up. If you don't get selected for one of the internships somewhere, just don't give up. Opportunities will show up on your door later, sometime later. I when I had finished my you know uh, school studies out of my 12th grade, I
Hmm.
read uh, I was reading about who discovered the DNA, and I was reading about James Watson at that time, and I saw where he was and what he was doing currently, and I found that he was director of Cold Spring Harbor Lab. I was so into CSHL, like as as a kid, like my mindset was like that's the I wanted to do molecular biology, and I was so passionate about it. I applied for an internship into Cold Spring Harbor Lab after like first year of my undergraduate studies, and it was a very basic application. I just made an SOP
Hmm.
and a CV and sent it to a couple of scientists. And I felt a little, sad when I didn't
Hmm.
get any replies or anything. But then, 4 years later, I'm working in Cold Spring Harbor Lab. I'm an employee there. So,
That is so cool.
yeah, don't give up. Never give up. Yeah.
So that's a wrap to today's session. It was so good having you and so motivational. I'm sure everybody who watches this will be a tad bit more motivated than they were before.
Yes. Always keep working in the direction, you want to go in. Never give up. Yeah.
Alright, everybody. So, more videos coming up every Saturday. Stay tuned to the channel. Bye bye.